Hey there, just want to talk today a little bit about building chords, specifically in the G major scale. So we got the G major scale. You also have all the intervals and half steps that exist as well, but we're talking about the G major scale. You usually build a chord with the 1, 3, and the 5, the G, the B, and the D. Then you could also flat that third, and all of a sudden you have a minor chord. You just built a minor chord by a slight variation. So this is kind of like how chords are built. You start with that basic 1, 3, and 5, and then with all the intervals, these are all fair game to build your chords. But you're kind of starting with that major scale. And you make some decisions like, well, I'm going to keep the 1 and the 3, but maybe instead of putting a 5 in there, I'm going to go ahead and flat the 1, the octave, down here. So now it sounds like more like a major 7th chord. Or I could flat it one more time, get a dominant 7th chord. Or I could add the 6, the 1, 3, and 6. Maybe a sharp 5. So this is kind of like how chords are built, and you can start stacking. Now, I know it gets a little confusing when you see like a 9 in a chord. Really, that's just a 2. So don't get confused if you see like a 9 in there or an 11, that's just a 4. Or a 13 is just a 6. Okay, because that can throw people off a little bit, but really the 9, the 11, and the 13 are just trying to tell you, hey, this is just, maybe it's like a higher frequency of the 2, but it's just, it's not a different note than the 2. It's still going to be that A, which is the 2. And maybe they want you to play it here, which is kind of hard to. So, but there are some complicated chords, and to be fair, like I have this Jazz Standards for Solo Guitar book. You can take a look at it there, and there's a lot of, essentially, they give you a lot of like really complicated chords, and some of them not so much, but you can learn by tablature, so you can get exposure to like, say, a C sharp 7, sharp 5, and it'll give you a voicing of that in here, and you can start building up your dictionary or your, I don't know, the best way to describe it, your stockpile of chord shapes that you know. And these are complicated chords. So in this case, you don't actually have to know how to build them. They just kind of give it to you. But it is helpful to know that even though it could be like a super complicated chord that looks complicated on paper, it's just built by very fundamental steps of using, the different scales, but basically all the half steps that make up. So for example, in G, we got all these half steps. When I say half step, I just mean 1 fret. That leads you back to the octave, the same note. So even the most complicated chords are built that way. So just wanted to cover that a little bit today. You start with your 1, 3, 5 of the major scale, the 1, 3, 5. But all the half steps that get you from an octave to another are fair game to build your most complicated chords, so you can start kind of playing around. And of course, I'm leaving the 5 out. Anyways, so you start to realize that, and it's easier on a piano to build a chord because it's horizontal, and you can see it this way. So on guitar it gets a little confusing, but just kind of want to that was something that was on my mind today, just the passion we have for playing chords. And if you're soloing, you can, as long as you're grabbing a note from that complicated chord, because sometimes these complicated chords sit outside of the key signature. So you might be soloing and you're like, what do I do with that? One of the things to do is just to play the chord as is, as like maybe an arpeggio, or just grab one of the notes from that chord that's outside of the key signature. That can help you, because you can be soloing in a key, you're like, I'm good, and all of a sudden it goes, outside, you're like, what do I do? Well, know the chord of the moment, know how to play the chord that you're in. And if it's outside the key signature, you can just play the chord, or you can grab a note from there and then get back. Once they get back to your key signature, you can start playing back in there again. So anyways, that's just something I was thinking about today. I hope you're having a good day. Thank you.